Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here, and welcome to Jambareeqi Requests, the show where you decide what I review. For this episode, it was a tie between Stuart Little 2 and All Dogs Go to Heaven, so I held an online poll to let you decide between these two films. You chose All Dogs Go to Heaven, as nominated by Jenna Sorensen. All Dogs Go to Heaven is an animated fantasy movie about a dog called Charlie, who, with help from his best friend Itchy, escapes from the pound and returns to the rat race gambling business he owns with a dog called Carface. Carface doesn't want to share his profit though, so he has Charlie killed. Charlie ends up in Dog Heaven, a blissful and peaceful place that bores Charlie so much that he manages to escape back to Earth. Once back on Earth, Charlie finds out that Carface's business has been booming because he's been using a little orphan girl who can talk to animals to speak with the rats. Charlie and Itchy rescue the orphan, who is called Anne-Marie, promising her that they'll help her find her parents, only for them to exploit the poor girl to make lots of money and start their own gambling business. Carface finds out that Charlie is alive and that he's stolen Anne-Marie from him, which means big trouble. This movie has spawned the internet meme big-lipped alligator moment, which means a part of a film that comes out of nowhere, is never explained and is never mentioned again. It's inspired by a scene where our characters meet a singing alligator, and you know what? I don't think this meme applies to this movie. Sure, his character is never explained, but we do get to see him again later in the film. In fact, he has a very important role in the finale. Also, this whole movie is bloody random. It's a movie about a ray gun wielding gangster dog going after a little orphan girl who can talk to animals and a con artist dog who escaped from heaven. So the singing gator isn't that out of nowhere. It's just as odd as anything else in the film's universe. Yeah, this movie is really weird to me, and this is coming from someone who watched Live Freaky Die Freaky, which is a stop-motion musical about Charlie Manson, and Cremaster 4, a film about a tap-dancing satyr who ends up climbing a tunnel covered in Vaseline. So that's saying something. This film has a very sporadic narrative, where one random moment leads to another random moment. While this does make the movie's story kind of sketchy and all over the place, it certainly doesn't make it boring. I was gripped to this movie for the most part because I was fascinated with where it was going to go next. I will admit that this narrative style gets distracting at times, because at some points I started wondering where plot threads had gone because the focus had suddenly changed, especially when the film went from being about a murdered dog going to heaven to a story about a little orphan girl being exploited for gambling. Things do eventually tie themselves together, but for the most part this movie made me do somersaults in my head because it has the attention skills of a 7-year-old who's had way too much sugar. Like a truckload of sugar. That's too much sugar, movie! You're gonna get diabetes! The animation doesn't help the focus or flow either, because it's way too fidgety and overacted, for the most part. It's always trying to provide some level of movement, and just ends up looking distracting. Don Bluth is usually a very reserved and well-paced animation director, but this movie isn't a good showcase for that skill. However, there are some top-notch examples of fluid, excellent character animation, particularly from Anne-Marie, whose mannerisms were based on her voice actress Judith Barcy. To make the movie even more weird, it actually has a few musical numbers. Yeah! I will admit that these songs are a mixed bag though. I like You Can't Keep a Good Dog Down because it's so upbeat, joyful and catchy. Plus, Soon You'll Come Home is a very touching and sentimental song about Anne-Marie wanting parents. But the song What's Mine Is Yours is so damn cheesy and corny. I get that it's trying to show Charlie's good side, but it sounds like it's babying the audience with its message about sharing, while the rest of the songs in the movie are pretty forgettable. However, behind all the randomness, musical numbers and bizarre creative decisions, there's a lot of heart and depth to the film. At the centre, it's a story about corruption colliding with innocence, through the relationship between Anne-Marie and Charlie, who have a bittersweet friendship that tests both characters and puts Charlie at odds with his temptations and new responsibilities. This theme of darkness versus light totally fits the film as a whole, which puts an angelic little girl in a world full of violence, gambling and poverty. It's the kind of story that you would expect from director Don Bluth, who is renowned for taking child characters and putting them in dangerous, miserable environments. He's willing to tell children's stories that have the same level of tension and reality as any movie for adults, which is what made him a household name. Of course, this kind of kids movie isn't going to be for everyone. Some parents will feel uncomfortable showing it to their kids because it's pretty much about the shadier part of society. At the end of the day, it's up to parents themselves to decide what movies their kids should or shouldn't see. However, kids that do watch this movie might be frightened by some of the content and imagery because it can get a bit dark and scary at times. But I wouldn't say it's going to corrupt your children, make them want to gamble, steal, murder, and break out into musical numbers. Actually, the last one won't be too bad if your child has a good singing voice. My point being, this isn't a film that glorifies being a criminal. No, it's actually a morality tale. It warns kids not to make bad decisions or go into dark pathways because it can lead to a really miserable, dangerous life full of consequences. Before I draw this review to a close, I think it's important for me to address the elephant in the room concerning the behind the scenes of this movie. For those of you who don't know, Judith Barcy, the voice actress for Anne-Marie, was tragically murdered by her father before this movie was finished. It's heartbreaking that she lost her life at such a young age. Judith was a very talented voice actress, and I mean that. She had a wonderful, charismatic energy, and had natural delivery full of earnest sincerity. She could have gone on to become an iconic name in the industry. Rest in peace, Judith.
Dear God, thank you so much for my new best friend, Charlie. And thank you for sending him to rescue me. And God bless Mr. Itchy.
Yeah, bless Itchy.
And God bless Charlie. Amen. Oh, and please help me find a mommy and daddy.
To conclude, All Dogs Go to Heaven has a distractingly sporadic and random narrative, but it's still a unique, heartfelt and sincere movie that effectively explores the concept of light versus darkness in a very mature way. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, then I encourage you to like, subscribe and share. I'd also really appreciate it if you could support me on my Patreon. So, what am I going to review next in this series? Well, that's entirely up to you. How do you decide? Well, here's a guide. Welcome to the guide to nominating a title for Jambareeqi Requests. Please pay attention to the following instructions and rules if you wish to nominate a title. Posts that ignore these rules and instructions will be automatically disqualified. Nominating a title for the next episode of Jambareeqi Requests is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Simply go into the comment section below and post the title that you want me to review. Make sure that it's just one title, no lists. Then take a look at everyone else's nominations and give a thumbs up to the ones that you like. The nomination with the most thumbs ups by the deadline will be what I review next. The official deadline will be announced at the end of the video. Here are the rules. Your nominations can only be feature-length movies or short films. Nominations for TV shows or video games will be disqualified. I only have time to review things that won't take me long to experience. Nominated films can be live action, animation, or documentary. Any technique is fine with me. Thank you for listening, folks, and good luck with your nominations.